Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Tonight I want to welcome Santos Bonacci. For over 30 years, he has been studying the ancient works, researching, compiling, and translating the text to produce an easier-to-understand compendium of astrotheology. He brings this together in a network of media platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the Universal Truth School website. He regularly presents seminars, webinars, lectures, and workshops in various countries around the world. Santos, welcome. How you doing tonight?
Very well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be with you.
Good. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I've been wanting to get you on for so long. Your work is fascinating. The research you do, the videos you make are fascinating. Growing up in a Catholic home, I was always taught that astrology was evil. But the more I got to learn about it, which is really not much at this point, but I began to realize how it is not. And in fact, you can actually decode our reality, major events through history. Basically anything can be decoded through astrology. And I'd like to know what got you started doing this.
Well, just being awakened, I guess, just striving for more awakening. And every time I picked up an astrological book, I seemed to understand it. So I was wondering, why is this so understandable to me? You know, these are symbols of nature. They are symbols of frequencies, energy, and it's all a language of interpreting energy and sine waves. And every sine wave follows the same pattern. It all begins at its balance point called the equator, where the equinox happens, which in fact will be in 5 days' time. It's the 19th of September. So Libra's coming, the big judgment day equinox of autumn. So the sine waves, they're all balanced at the equators, and then they go out to their wave amplitude, which are the tropics. If you're looking at the sun's ecliptic, which I always use as the model of the sine wave, as you see the sun go from the equator up to the Tropic of Cancer, down through the equator again, where we are now, and then down to Capricorn. And that's a sine wave. And the seasons that go along that sine wave, spring, summer, from Aries, beginning at Aries, you got spring up until Cancer, Tropic of Cancer, then summer. Libra coming up, autumn, Capricorn, winter. And so you can see that the path of a sine wave has many different conditions. Seasons, we call them. And there are 12 conditions. Each time the sun transits a 30-degree segment of the ecliptic, it changes its frequency. There are 12 frequencies that it rounds out in its yearly course. 12, from Aries to Pisces, every year. This is why the ancient calendar was always pinned to the equinox, March 21st. And then you wait 10 days, March the 31st comes along, New Year's Eve. And you celebrate New Year's Day on April 1st. But see, the Romans took over the world with their calendar, secularized the calendar, shifted it from Aries and brought it down to Capricorn at the summer solstice. Capricorn is secular, Aries is sacred. So in so doing, they pulled us away from the natural year. And we don't see how the beginnings are always in spring now. We begin in winter with the year. But spring is the beginning because the blossom of spring is the impregnation of the sun's rays and impregnating the earth with its light. the symbol of the beginning of the year. And this is sacred. It's a sacred year. The astrological year is sacred. The secular year is for making money. It's a good system as well. There's nothing wrong with starting at Capricorn, but it's secular. It takes us away from God. God is sacred. It takes us away from the sacred and brings us into the secular. It's great for running a world because you start the year with Capricorn energy, and the goat climbs, so you're going to succeed. But so does Aries. Aries also climbs. It's a climbing from the equinox up to the Tropic of Cancer. It's the ramping up. And so it has that energy about it. And all the different signs have their frequencies. Taurus has a solid frequency. Gemini has a gas frequency. Cancer has a liquid. Then you go back to fire again, plasma. And the round goes again. You see? So there are 4 elements or 4 frequencies of matter. And the sun is generating the whole 4 during the day, during the year, every hour, every minute, every second. It's making waves. And those waves are all the same. They're all fractals of the one mind, impressing this reality. So, and that mind, the universe is mind, you see. And that mind, it projects thought waves and emotion waves. And it also radiates. Radiation is different to waves. It's a different kind of wave. It's longitudinal.
Now, this mind, are you talking about like a source of creation?
No, it's the Demiurge. The mind is the Demiurge. So we will escape mind. Once we relinquish mind, then we go into the highest, way higher state of being, and we still keep our individuality, but we're not conditioned by the mind anymore. The mind is free. So, yeah, that's the Demiurge. The source is the source of that mind. So, for instance, it provides the materials for that mind. Like, for instance, a carpenter, he might say that he made the house, but he didn't make the wood, nor the bricks, nor the nails. So there are 2 creators, you see. One provides materials, creates, and the other one makes something out of those materials. And so when God of Source, the Godhead, expands from a monad to a dyad, it also relinquishes, or not relinquish, but delegates that to construct and create a universe that works, that is natural. And it's all based on the atom and the wave, the torus field. So the atom's just a torus field, that's all it is. It's not anything other than a torus field, which is a unit of energy. And the torus field has a hyperbola inside, an hourglass. The hourglass internal part of the torus field. So, like a donut on the inside. That hyperbola, that pretty much is the most venerated and spoken of thing in all sacred books, in all songs, in all mythologies. There's nothing more spoken of and venerated than the hyperbola, the hourglass inside the torus field. And the key word in hyperbola is bowl, because bowl becomes Baal, and this is the god Baal. Every atom is a Baal. It's a bowl. It's a sphere. A torus field, it's a sphere. They're golden eggs of creation, and they're units of light, and they create a field. That's all it is. That's what atoms are. And when atoms join each other, they change the frequency of the atom. Science tells us that they gain or lose an electron. Can't do that. Can't gain or lose an electron because they don't exist. Even the guy who discovered the electron, J.J. Thomson, atom's son. Interesting that the name should turn up. And by the way, and the first guy, whoever did the double slit experiment, was named Thomas Young. So you see where Tom is hiding there everywhere with all these atomic physicists and scientists. So, yeah, he denied the existence of the electron, even though he discovered the electron. He said it's not a thing. It's just energy expressing itself. And the opposite of the electron is the proton, which expresses itself in the opposite way. So this is what a torus field is. Light comes out from a center and goes red shift, blue shift. And there's your field. Simple as that. White light splits up into red and blue and creates a field. It's a torus field. And that white light comes from the hyperbola, you see. And so once you get to know these parts of the torus field, you'll understand how everything works in the universe. No mistake about it. Your body is the same. That's why you have an anatomy. It's made of atoms. And why you have a torso. It's a torus field, which gives you an aura, which you would call a tora. Tora is reversed for rotor. It's a rotating magnetic field. And that's what all atoms do. That's what they do. They keep rotating all the time, and they're a field. You see, that light makes a field. When you learn astrology, you learn about energy and how to utilize energy best and how to harvest it at the right time. So 6 to 8 every morning is the energy of Aries. That's how you're going to get to know the energy of Aries. Every morning, 6 to 8. Bang. Sun rises. Aries arises. It's the same word. Aries is about rising. It's the first sign. Astronomers know that right ascension of meridian begins at 0 degrees Aries. That's where everything begins. Then from 8 to 10, you've got Taurian energy, earthy, solid. Aries is fire, plasma, bang, wakes you up in the morning, energizes you. Get to work. Taurus, solid, hard working, 8 to 10. And also you have a mid-morning break. We call smoko in Australia. We have a smoko, and you have a sandwich or something, coffee, and then you go back to work around 10. Gemini, air, gas, it creates a communicative, vibrant energy, very energized, very electric, and you need that before 12. Cancer kicks in. Cancer, water, the stomach, you eat, you have lunch. It's that midday peak. Every time at midday, Cancer turns up, 12 to 2. Then Leo, 2 to 4, the lion of summer. And it harmonizes with the hottest part of the day, 2 to 4. Virgo, earth, mutable earth. Decline of the sun, sun setting. Libra, always at the sunset, always. As soon as the sun sets, bang, it's in Libra. 6 to 8. And in Libra is a deacon called Lupus, the wolf of night. It swallows up Little Red Riding Hood, the sun, riding in the forest on the ecliptic in the zodiac every day. And that's Libra, the scales of justice, judging the sun as it judges it to go down to its death, down to its peril in the darkness. Where does the sun go? You know, why is it hiding from us in darkness and leaving us so our eyes can't see? These were what mythologies were based on, this concept of light and darkness. Scorpio, 8 to 10. That's usually the time when romance begins in the evening, and Scorpio is water, emotions, the generative system, sexuality. 10 to 12, Sagittarius, fire, the 9th sign, you know, inspiration to, you know, rekindle the fires before you go to sleep. 12 to 2, Capricorn, Saturn, darkness. Aquarius, and earth, very earthy, solid sleep, good time to be sleeping. Aquarius, mental energy, good time to be awake meditating, 3 o'clock, 2 to 4. 3 o'clock's the witch's hour. Best time to wake up, meditate, you'll have magic. Then Pisces, water, 4 to 6. Cold, the coldest part of the day. Mutable water, change. And then Aries arises again anew the next day. And that's the best way to understand, the very best way to understand all the signs of the zodiac. Remember, Aries starts at 6 in the morning, rising. Register that energy, capture it, know it, and know that when you need that morning energy, you need Arian energy. When you need to do hard work and solid, Taurian. Do it between 8 and 10. When you need to communicate, write letters, travel, 10 to 12, best time of the day. When you need to eat and rest and give your stomach and your body a good rest, Cancer. You know, and you can see that those energies, those are 12 conditions. There are 12 conditions in the year. We say there are 4 seasons, but there are more like 12 conditions. So once you feel the sun going through the signs and you register its energy, right now we're in Virgo. So it's a very magical harvest energy. It's contemplative because the year is, the growing season is over. It analyzes the year, thinks about its doings, you know, and relinquishes the year over to the justice of Libra. So when you look at the Lord's Prayer, you will see that it is none other than the zodiac. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Well, that's Aries. The name of Aries, the motto of Aries is I am. And the name of God is I am. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Taurus, the kingdom, the earth, the bull. Thy will be done. Gemini, Mercury, the deliverer of God's will. On earth as it is in heaven. Cancer and Leo. Cancer represents the moon and the earth connection. Leo is the sun, the heavens. Give us our daily bread. Virgo, the bread basket. Now they're out there in the beautiful, rich, golden grain harvest, collecting all the wheat for the bread. Libra, forgive us our debts as we forgive others, settling the accounts. Libra is all about forgiving. When you come to these signs of the zodiac, you offer those contemplations. Scorpio, deliver us from temptation. Remember? Sexuality. Scorpio is all about the generative system, etc. And then finally, deliver us, lead us not into temptation, deliver us from the wicked one. Sagittarius, the brave archer. Arjuna, Krishna's right-hand man. And then Capricorn, because yours is the kingdom, Aquarius, the glory, Pisces, I'll have to pull it up, I forget now, but it's around, it's out there. But yeah, it's the Lord's Prayer. So Shakespeare, the Bible, political speeches, papal bulls, they all start in Aries and finish in Pisces. There's one main thread. And then within that thread, they've got little waves embedded. And they'll do sub-cycles of the zodiac. Everything you do is that. Every day is that. From the moment you wake up in Aries. And when you go and lie your head down, you finish the day in Pisces. It's a cycle. That's the only thing cycles do. It's the only thing waves do. Waves don't do anything else other than go through 12 conditions, wave amplitude, wavelength, frequency, etc. Over and over again. We always say it's a, it's a vibratory world. It's a vibration. Well, it is. Electricity is a vibration. Magnetism is a radiation.
It makes sense why the powers in control would want to suppress this information, because they're trying, seems like, they're trying to make everything unnatural nowadays. They're trying to keep you from getting to know who and what we really are and the powers that we possess within ourselves and our own energies. It seems like they're trying to suppress that, and that's probably why they make us look at astrology as evil. Would you agree?
Yeah, the reason why astrology is stigmatized is for necessity. They can't afford for people to be awakened to understanding energy and the whole universe and virtually everything. Astrology has all the answers and can accurately predict the future, most accurately tell what happens in the past or has happened in the past. It's the most complete and holistic divinatory system for all knowledge. You can learn about your body's weaknesses and strengths. It's all in there because it's all like a electrical circuit board. That's what astrology does. It maps out your circuit board and shows you where, organs are strong or weak. Why do people have bad hearts, poor, weak minds, liver toxicity? It's all in the chart. I've seen it many times when I do readings for people. I do the medical part as well and look at that. And you can actually pinpoint by degree certain ailments. And I've picked out many, many times the physical weaknesses of the individual, the querent, and it's always successful. It's always successful. And it's just incredible how astrology always is reliable. It's up to the astrologer to be competent and make it worthy of its science, because the only fault with astrology is the astrologer.
Now,
the astrologers.
How do the planets in our solar system and the energies from the planets, how are they integrated into astrology? Could just help us understand how that kind of works.
Well, the 12 signs on the ecliptic, they There are 12 passive energies. And the 7 planets, or the 9 or the 10, if you include Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, you get 10, and you can include Rahu and Ketu. There's many ways of doing it, but let's stick with the 7 visible planets because they're the ones that the Hindu system uses as well, and many systems only use the 7. So they would be all different specializations of energy that are active. And as they go through the signs along the ecliptic, they interact with the energy of the sign. So for instance, the sun in Aries, beautiful, loves it. The sun is hot and dry. Aries is hot and dry. Fire plus fire, beautiful. When the sun comes into Taurus, it has a different frequency, you know, and it's singing a different song. It's all about sound, and it changes its tune, you know, and things start to grow, you know, because of the bull and the energy of the bull and earthiness. You see the plants that you've planted in, you know, in Aries, or the fruit that was blossoming, now you see it really growing. So those planets, now Saturn doesn't do well in Aries. Saturn is cold and dry. Cold does not like hot. So you see, if you have Saturn in Aries in your chart, you'll know. Many ways of knowing. You know, Aries is the cerebrum. Taurus is the cerebellum. Gemini is the twins. Cancer is the chest, the breast of the mother. Leo is the lion heart. Virgo is the belly. The scales of justice are the kidneys. Scorpio is the generative system. Sagittarius the hips, hippo. Capricorn the knees and the skeletal system. Aquarius the shins. Pisces the 2 fish, the 2 feet. And so there's the Temple of the Solomon. And so as the sun goes through the seasons, you can tell that it changes its condition and frequency. And this is the same, exactly the same, with the other planets. They are 7 different specializations of light. As you refract white light through a prism, you will get 7 colors of light. Those are the 7 planets. Those are the 7 electricities. There are 7 kinds of electricity in the universe. And they equate to our senses. So there's an electricity for sight. There's one for hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And then there's one for intuition and illumination, wisdom. And those are the 7 electricities of the universe, whereas there's only one magnetism. Magnetism is undivided. Electricity is divided into 7 or 2.
Oftentimes you will hear that the planet Saturn is associated with Satan or something evil. Why is it that that has come about?
Well, because Saturn is the enabler of the material world, the portal for his son, Jupiter, to be able to make torus fields and for things to be materialized. It's through Saturn. So that's why Saturn gets castrated by Jupiter, because Jupiter has the keys of the kingdom, Saint Peter, the keys of the kingdom, because he is the actual one who then, like this, the Demiurge, he is the creator. It's through him that things get created, through his light, through his specialization of light, not Saturn's. Saturn's is black light. It can't act. It's inertia. Jupiter is force, electricity. Thor with his thunderbolts, Jupiter with his thunderbolts, electricity. So whereas Saturn is more dielectric, and the sun is magnetic. But Saturn is the ruler of Earth in astrology. That's why he's evil, because Earth is good and evil. And in theology, Satan is the ruler of this world. Well, the world is Earth, is it not? So theology tells you that he's the ruler of the Earth, Satan. Astrology tells you that he's the ruler of Earth, Saturn. And of course, Saturn is also Joseph, the foster father of Jesus. You see, this castration problem keeps recurring. Joseph, it means father Seth, and Seth, that's Saturn. So it's telling you, even in the Christian Greek scriptures, that Jesus is Jupiter Zeus, Jesus. They're one and the same.
One thing that I would like to understand better is you speak of planets like, they're conscious entities. And I'm wondering, are they actual conscious entities? Were there actual gods, actual conscious entities that we were interacting with? Or are they just archetypal energies used to represent these gods?
So they are luminous beings, according to astrology. They are luminous. The universe is made with sound and light. God is sonoluminescence. And they are the gods. They are the Demiurge, the stars, the planets, the sun, the moon. They are the Demiurge. They are, as Porphyry or as Proclus put it, they are cells in the brain of God, those stars. Those stars are holes in the firmament. So is the sun. The sun is just a hole in the firmament, filled with archangel. It's an archangel, Michael, and it's a hole. That's why it's holy, and it shines light from behind the firmament. The sun is the portal of light, the light giver, because it opens a wormhole, a holy wormhole, into our material world. So, yeah, they all are. The stars are luminous beings. You're a star. That's why you're called a youngster, sister, master. You don't want to be a monster. You see, all these words with star on the end of them, indicating that that's what we are. We're either masters or monsters. So, and the word star is the same as the word start. We began our journey at the start as stars, you see? And we go back to the black light where there is no lack. You see, and stars are both black and white. They've got the backside is black, but what we see, that light, is white because they're portals of light. We don't see the back end, but they are both black and white. And black light is dielectric and white light is magnetic.
So do you think that space itself is not what we have always been told, as we're learning things as we're growing up and what NASA tells us? Do you think it's something completely different?
Yeah, there is no space. Everything is filled. Space indicates that there's nothingness, emptiness. Nothing is empty. The universe is full. It's one full organism, one full, entity. It's a complete entity. It is perfect in everything. So there's no, there's no gaps in it. All the dimensions are here. We're just not tuned to them. We're not tuned to their frequency. But they're all here. It's like when you tune into one channel on the television, you can't watch the other channels. You're tuned in to one channel. So you don't know what's going on the other 96 channels. And that's the same as this universe, all the different timelines. We just don't know what's out there unless you do your astral traveling, etc.
Now, do you think that our individual consciousness is just part of one larger consciousness split up into billions and billions of separate consciousness?
Well, it's all fractal, you see. So we're all God, and whatever God thinks, we think. As within, so without. You can't really change that. Those thought waves coming from God's mind, they are in our bodies. They are in the thoughts that we have are not original. They came from elsewhere, and we get inspired by them. You see, depending on how receptive we are to them and how undamaged we are. We have to be pure to receive, God's light. The light came into the world, but the world recognized it not. Yeah. Light is consciousness. Everything is conscious. So when we come to the light, we come to the consciousness, and we get christened. Christ means light. Mostly black light, but still it's light. Light is black light is the source light. White light is the force light. May the source be with you, and may the force be with you. You need both. See, that's where Star Wars missed the boat.
Can you explain a little bit more about the force light? Just the differences between the source and the force light?
Black light is rest. White light is motion. They are the two co-eternal principles, rest and motion. Black light is dielectric, inertial. White light is magnetic and radiates. So you've got centripetal convergent, black light, centripetal convergent. White light is centrifugal divergent. It's centrifugal. White light is centripetal. That's why it sucks. Black light is centripetal. That's why it sucks the light out. Black holes. It's centripetal convergent fields of light around a torus field. It will always be around a torus field, because torus is the hyperbola, the bowl in the middle of every atom, which we call a neutron. That's just light, just a point of light, a frequency of light. And that's why elements change when atoms come near each other, because they change each other's frequency. They don't take electrons or give electrons. They've got none to give. They just change their frequency. And gold becomes what? Lead, or whatever, or uranium, or whatever's next, mercury or something. But it's always transmuting. It's mutable. Everything's mutable. Everything is in flux.
Very interesting. Now, what would you call syncretism, and how it relates to astrotheology?
Syncretism is the science of merging and integrating all fields of human knowledge, wisdom, theology, etc. Because there is one system for all the sciences, and it fits all. And that's the torus and the sine wave that envelops around the torus field as it generates its field. And so once you learn the Torah, you'll learn about the torus fields. You see, that's what you're learning about. That's why you go and learn the Torah. Because we need to understand that this is God, you know, the atom, all is atum. The three most important words to know, to understand all theologies and everything, would be atum, all is atum, which is the atom, which turns into Adam in Hebrew. Adam means atom, for sure. That's why we are all children of Adam, because we all have an anatomy, you see, made of atoms. And the other two words are Taurus and bull. So rather than bowl, I like to say bull, because it is the bull. Tauruses and bulls. Taurus is a bull, and of course so is the hyperbola. It's a bull, right? Krishna creates, and he's always creating and making creation with his holy cows. This is why we have such an expression, holy cow. It's because of the torus fields, because they were always known to be golden cows of creation, you know. And so these are the most important words you could ever memorize. Keep them close to your heart. Know these three words, atum, tor, and bull. Bull is blue shift. Tor is red shift. Tor backwards is rot. Rot is red. Okay, it's in the words. The torus field is talking about divergent vibrating light. It's red. Goes red shift first, then blue shift. It's the proton, red. You see, proton will be understood better if you insert a Y after the P. Pyroton. It's fire, it's red. It's divergent, centrifugal. Blue shift, the electron, L, blue, there's always an L there. The electron, L is for liquid, it's blue, water. The electron is convergent, centripetal light, part of the vibration. It's the same with black and white. In the torus field, you've got white light converging, diverging, black light converging. Fusion, fission. Fusion, fission. No, wrong. Fission. Fusion is convergent. Yeah. So, and the same goes with the two material electric colors, red and blue. The magnetic and dielectric colors are white and black. You have a black and white yin and yang. You have a red and blue yin and yang. And one is denoting the higher Godhead of dielectricity and magnetism, and the other is denoting the lower God, the Demiurge of red shift, blue shift. With red shift, blue shift, you've got the red pill and the blue pill. You've got red blood, blue blood. You've got roses are red, violets are blue. Republicans are red, Democrats are blue. Red and blue police sirens, polarity. Red, rage, we're coming to get you. Blue, we love you, we're good cops. We're always looking after you. Red and blue ambulance. Red and blue hot and cold water force taps. Why? Because red and blue, red shift, blue shift denotes the vibratory world. It's polarity. All atoms, all torus fields are red shift, blue shift. Look at your torso. Remember we said torso is Taurus? Well, at the top of the torso is a blue chakra. At the bottom of the torus torso is a red chakra. Even your torso knows the science. That's what syncretism brings. It brings this beautiful knowledge of understanding energy.
And it seems that magnetism is an extremely important and large part of our, I guess, our reality here. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yep. It is. It's our reality is based on a spiritual a material expression of our spiritual selves, you see. So reality has a spiritual dimension to it, and those who connect with it are blessed. But those who don't connect with it, oh boy, the troubles that come to them, come to their lives. It's very sad. They die in ignorance, and they don't get Christened. They don't activate their Christ energy within, raise the fluids. You need to raise the cerebrospinal fluids back to the cerebrum to provide it materials to generate a 13th cranial nerve. It takes years to do this, but this is what the masters do. They generate and develop a 13th cranial nerve after 12 years of pure white tantra. So that's the ultimate goal, and that's where the awakening happens. It actually gets activated through sex.
Now, you always hear different, I guess, New Age sects and different New Age spiritual factions talking about how humanity is ascending right now and we're awakening. Is that something that you would agree with, that us um, as humans are collectively awakening at this period in time?
I would say a portion of humanity, like from our group, would be, yes, but not the majority. You see, they're eating and drinking, buying and selling until the flood comes and sweeps them all away. They won't make it, they won't cut the grade, and they will have to do it again.
Do you think that we are actually headed to another great cataclysm eventually that will be essentially like a reset for humanity?
Yeah, just hang on, brother. I've just got to attend to something. Just 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure. I'll hold that thought.
Yeah, excuse me for that. That was something I had to attend to real quick and
That's no
urgent.
worries.
Yeah, I just had to sort out a message. And I got distracted before, so it took me a while to realize it was urgent.
You had just mentioned something in the last comment about being wiped out in the next flood. Do you think that humanity is headed towards another great cataclysm, that something may occur within our lifetime or any time in the near future?
Oh, it's at hand. It's definitely at hand. It's like overdue. So it will be devastating for the masses that are on the road that is broad and spacious and leads to destruction. But it will be everlasting glory for the ones who walk the path. And the path is yeah, it's a hard, it's difficult path, but you know, it's the only one that brings everlasting results, and it's got to be done. You know, you
Now,
can't go.
well, now speaking of this path, I thought a good note to end on is, I guess, if people are just not waking up to everything and they want to explore the path of astrotheology and just to get to know who and what we are better, what is your advice on where they should start doing this and how they could start doing this?
You've got to have an open mind, and you know, look into things and study, learn, click on a few videos. It's only knowledge. You know, it can't sway you and your convictions unless, you know, it's rational and it's reasonable, and it makes sense, you know. And astrology does make sense. It's a pure science. It's a language. You can't debunk astrology, like you can't debunk English. English is a language. It's non-debunkable. It expresses itself. And that's the same with astrology. You can't debunk languages like music. You know, you can't say, oh, music's a pseudoscience. Just because you play one genre and someone plays another, you know. There's many ways of playing astrology, like there's many styles of music and instruments. So it's all about energy and music and sound and light and interpreting it properly. That's all it is. Why Jesus always has 12 disciples, 12 zodiac signs. Jesus is the sun.
Very well said. And Santos, I want to thank you so much again for joining us tonight. That was very fascinating information, and I'm going to have you back on sometime.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Thank you very, very much.
We have an excellent night.